Hi and welcome to my Playhouse, and today we are again visiting Error's ECS, and we are going to be looking at some private cloud. Let's go see some private cloud. So why do you get a private cloud? Well, it has to do with automation. Just like this robot, we need someone to do the boring work for us. So this is what a private cloud could look like when it arrives in the boxes from Lenovo. This is Lenovo's brand new ThinkAgile CP Series. It's just out. I think this might be a world premiere of showing this system. And the guys here at Errors has been kind enough not to take it out of the boxes. They really didn't have to. I could have watched it without the boxes, but I get to unbox it. So yeah, let's get moving. But this is a whole private cloud. This is kind of a POC of a private cloud. So for real production, you would probably add a little bit like redundant switches and redundant compute nodes and so on. So just to go over the boxes, the bottom one here says that it's a storage unit. The next one is a compute node with 2 nodes in it. And the next one again is cables and extra stuff. Then there is an interconnect switch and a management switch. I'll unbox this. Okay, so now we have one empty pallet, and over here we have one private cloud. Oh, in this instance, this is a new thing. It's the first mobile private cloud. There is a lot of other stuff in the boxes, like rails and cables, and this thing with well, SFPs. What is this? Cat6 cables. It comes with a rack mounting instructions, so on and so forth. But what do we really get here? And we will recognize this one. I did a video on this bottom one, except this one is called the CP Series. They have given it another name, but this is in truth a D2 chassis box, and in that there is 2 compute nodes. That's the brains of the operation. These 2 compute nodes that are down here, they do the computing. There are 2 drives in those, but those are kind of just for the operating system. Otherwise, there are pretty regular nodes. Then we have a storage box. In this private cloud, the compute and the RAM is separated from the storage. So you can extend your storage capacity, or you can extend your compute/RAM capacity. Other systems has the storage built into the compute nodes, which can mess it up, because when you suddenly run dry of storage, well, then you have to buy new compute nodes, and very often they have to be similar to every other compute nodes that are in the system. So storage box and Lenovo CP Series here is only available with flash. What do they call this? It should be NVMe flash drives. So there are only NVMe flash drives available, so you can only run flash, and you can only expand this by putting in 8 more drives. So it is only expandable by filling up these 8 slots or these 8 slots. Then we have an interconnect switch up here, 10 gigabit Ethernet and 40 gigabit interconnect if you need another. This is, if you're gonna run this in a production environment, you would probably need redundant switches. Management switch, probably not as necessary to have that redundant. But in really big environments, you would probably also have 2 management switches. So here's a look at the back. The compute node down here, I did a video on that not that long ago, but the network connections come out here. There's room for 4 nodes in this chassis. So this setup, which is meant for a POC, it's only half occupied, and to really see it working and operating, you don't need to put everything in. You just need to see that it works and can do what you need it to do. Then we have the storage box up here. I'm a bit confused because all of these ports looks like they are RJ45 connections and not fiber optics, but I guess someone might have thought about that. And yeah, so this storage controller, it has a little bit more to it than just a bunch of disks in front of it. When I keep pulling here, you might notice that that's kind of a big storage controller. It's kind of mounted upside down in the storage unit. So when we take it out, it has to turn it around, and then we open it, and this is an entire server. It has room for 24 blocks of memory. It has 2 Intel scalable CPUs, or actually this one just has 1, but there's room for 1 more. And on the back here there is 3 PCI Express ports, all X16. There is 2 NVMe or M.2 SSDs. I'm not sure what that is, but it could be both. Fan blowers and stuff. So there are 2 of these in the storage unit doing all the storage work for the system. So it's not just some disks you get in that box. You get 2 entire servers maintaining those 8 drives out in front of the storage box. It should more or less never be needed to take these out if you're just running this as a private cloud. Just thought it would be interesting to see that you're actually getting a lot in there. Up in the switch we can see the interconnect switch has redundant power supply, and the management switch just has 1. This is kind of a box solution. Lenovo is providing this together with Cloudistics, which is a hypervisor provider. So you buy a solution like this or a little bit bigger, depending on what you need. This will work just fine. Chances of switches dying is not that big, but of course if you're in a critical environment, well, you need a redundant one for that. You would probably also be better off with a redundant compute node setup so that you had 2 chassis, and if you really had to go small, you would have 1 node in each of those 2 chassis just to divide that out, and also more than 1 storage box. But yeah, but it works this way, that you buy this together with licensing and everything for 2, 3, 5 years, and everything is included. You can of course decide what CPUs you want in the compute nodes, how much RAM you want in there, how much storage you want in here, but it is kind of like you have to buy 8 of a drive, and it has to be drives that are approved for the CP series here. And these 800 gigabytes, I am told, is already on the small side. So today it's kind of 1.6 terabytes, 3.2 terabytes and 6.4 terabyte drives that you can buy and put in here. So this option might not even be available for very long with 800 gigabytes NVMe drives. But more or less, you buy this package, and when the boxes arrive, Lenovo can come and put this in your rack. And more or less, you just need to plug in power and network. And this system will do everything else for the next 2, 3, 5 years. Everything will be upgraded from Lenovo. Everything will be maintained. If there's an error, it will call home. Someone will come and replace that drive. Don't know why that should happen. NVMe drive, well, yeah, we don't have that long history with them yet. We could get surprised along the way. But if something fails, they will come and fix it. If you're about to run out of space, well, when this is customizable, but when you're at 25%, it will notice you're about to run out of space. You might need another disk shelf, or you might need to extend it with 8 more drives, and you can do that. And those 8 more drives should come at the price of the drives. So the licensing for expanding this has already been paid for. The licensing for the hypervisor and the system is all dependent on the number of cores in the CPU. Of course, if you want another switch, well, you need, or an interconnect as they call it, well, you pay for the interconnect box, but the licensing is paid for. Storage expansion, the license is paid for. You can, well, you pay for the drives that you're gonna be putting in, but the licensing for the software included. If you extend it with more nodes, well, those nodes need more licensing, but only as many cores as you put in. And you can mix this up. You don't have to have, let's say this one has 16 cores. And you can have a server up here or a node up here with 8 cores. You can have one over here with 48 cores. You can have this one be 52 cores. And that's about where we hit the limits of how many cores we can put in a server like this. 52 cores, hyperthreading on top of that, so that's 104 threads in a server like that, node like that. But Lenovo will come and install this. They will configure it. I believe all you have to do is provide a piece of paper with some IP numbers for them, and they will do the rest. And what that then gives you is a web interface where you can make virtual data centers and put resources into those data centers. Everything in the private cloud here is put into pools. So all the CPU cores are put into a pool, all the RAM are put into a pool, all the storage is put into a pool. You then take from that pool and create a data center. Let's say we have 200 cores here, and then we could do a data center called development. And we could say, okay, development, 50 cores, half a terabyte of RAM, 10 terabytes of storage, and we can use over provisioning on that. Boundaries are about to be broken when it's really running out of storage, not when the over provisioning is running out of storage. That's kind of important. But in that way you can give a virtual data center to your production team. That could also be the sales team. They could deploy their own servers, just have access and deploy servers. Everything is really automated. When you get in here, you get a login, you pick a template, and in seconds, if that template is downloaded to the system from the big cloud thing, it talks to Cloudistics. When it needs a template like that, it will download it to a repository on the system, and from there it will be super fast to deploy additional virtual machines. It's a matter of minutes, and you can pick one or you can make 50. It doesn't really matter that much. It will only use, if let's say it's a server 2016, it downloads the template, and from that template a virtual machine is made of each of those. It only takes up the space of one server 2016, and then it builds on top of that every time, which means that you can have 10 server 2016 and it will not use up much more space than one. Compressing and deduplication is active on this system, included in the license that comes with the nodes. And the licensing on this private cloud here is really flat. You pay up front when you buy the nodes down here. That's when you pay for the licensing, and you're up and running for 2, 3, 5 years, depending on what plan you picked when you bought this. I am sure that when that period of time has passed, then there will be an extension available and you can prolong the life of it. So the good people at Lenovo, they actually provide some good documentation of what can you do with a system like this. And more or less, this is the system in their documentation that we are sitting with here. We have the interconnect switch, we have the compute block. I have kind of put that in the bottom, and then the storage block. I put that on top of the compute block, but the management switch, I put that on top as well. But more or less, that's the components that this private cloud consists of. And in here, in this documentation, there are all the stuff that this can do. There is key features, components, the different components, cables, 48 port, 10 gigabits, all that good stuff, compute nodes, what everything is, USB, the back of it, storage unit, all of these things you can see. We are looking at the CP4000, there is also the CP6000, and here are the differences between that. The main thing about this is that this 4000 can be extended to 2 to 4 compute nodes, where the CP6000 can go from 2 to 40. If you're planning on expanding, it's way better to go with that one. And I am told that the price difference is not that much. There's more numbers, there's some storage numbers, number of NVMe drives, model numbers, how it's gonna be connected, networking, cables, more cables, different compute blocks, the CPUs that can be put in those compute blocks, That goes from 4 cores. Is there a 4 core here anywhere? I guess 8 cores is the smallest, but it goes all the way up to 28 cores. Nice memory. You can put it. There are 16 blocks of memory in each of those compute nodes. You can put in as much as 128 gigabyte block sizes. If you do so, you can though only put in 12, but 16 gigabyte, you can put in 16 of those. Then we have some boot drives, storage, more storage, and these are all blocks of 8 drives. So, well, this 12.8, so the smallest you can extend this is by adding 12. Oh no, there. Here is the 800 gigabyte drives. They're still in here, so you can extend this with another 6.4 terabytes of NVMe storage. The next one is 12.8 terabytes, and it seems that you can buy that for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, or 5 years. So apparently there is something about the storage and warranty as well. Okay, so when you buy the drives, you actually also buy Cloudistics software for the drives. So that comes with these bundles. Different power cords. Yeah, this is boring. Let's talk about something else. So do you need a private cloud like this? You might. It's really easy for a smaller company to be able to deploy servers, and they don't need to know very much about what they're actually doing. They will kind of just get this set up, and they will get a web interface, and they can deploy servers. And it literally takes 2 hours for Lenovo to come and connect this. This can be installed in the morning, and you can be deploying servers by midday. That's really good for many companies. I know every one of us is saying, well, I can do that as well. Yeah, but can you? Everything is included here. It has its own switch, it has its own DHCP server, it has its own, well, it just has to be behind your firewall and you're good to go. Storage, you don't need to worry about the storage. Lenovo and Cloudistics has worried about the storage for you. It's ready to go. There's even the possibility of internal payment. It actually keeps track of who is using which resources in the system, which cashback, I have no idea what you call that. Well, you can actually say production, you're using that many resources. Research, you're using that many resources. Advertising, I don't know. Marketing, you're using that many resources, and you can split up the bill. It will do that automatically for you. You're using that much storage, and you can go in and set a price on that, and it's included in the software. If you're an internet provider or a hoster, that will work too. Well, you could have small companies, and they will come in and they will have their own little data center, a virtual data center on this private cloud. They will access the resources that they are paying for. They can pay for the resources that they are given, or they can pay for the resources that they are using. A private cloud like this is not cheap. As a private person, I think it's a lot of money. These devices here, I was told, was just below 1 million Danish kroners, and that's about $150,000. Is it? I have to calculate that. Okay, $160,000. Sorry, but everything is included. There is service for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. There is this hypervisor software. There is updates. You're not going to be updating this. Lenovo/Cloudistic will be updating this remotely. Have no idea if they need access to it or if it will just do it by itself, but it should actually be able to do it with 0 downtime. So more or less, this replaces me. Yeah. So how do we find a good angle on it doing what me as a server specialist is doing? I guess I'll find something else to do than patch servers and upgrade firmware and all that good stuff that takes up my day. Wonder what that could be. Maybe it needs dusting off once in a while. So there's another good thing about this. As this is a solution, well, there's only one phone number to call if something isn't doing well. That's a Lenovo, that's a Lenovo, that's a Lenovo, that's a Lenovo. Who are you gonna call? Lenovo. So I'm very happy to be able to show you this Lenovo ThinkAgile CP Series private cloud. I'm calling it private cloud, they just call it cloud, but that's just me. I think it's very private. It's even so private that with these wheels it could drive all the way out into my car, which has room for this cloud. That would be a great idea. There is lots of uses for this. Here at Eras they have figured out that if they were gonna build a similar thing on Nutanix hardware and software, well, it would actually cost 1.5 times as much. If they were gonna be building it on VMware and vSAN, it would cost twice as much. So this is a very cost efficient way to have your own private cloud. I want one too. Okay, a slight error on my side already. The ThinkAgile CP Series is available from the factory installed with Cloudistics software, and this can be a standard or a Guardian system. That depends on the encryption on the drives. Also, the standard comes with CentOS, where the Guardian comes with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. But in some countries you're not allowed to encrypt the drives, so that's why there is a Guardian option available. I'm told that there is no real price difference between the two. It's just if in some countries it's not allowed to encrypt data, it's a really bad idea not to have an option of not encrypted. So that's what that Guardian thing is. We'll just check it. Here are the drives with standard software licensing. And it goes all the way over here, and here it is with the Guardian software licenses. Yeah. So it's the smaller things here in life that makes it everything's worth it. And one of them is that my good contact here at Eras just came and told me that I didn't have to put this equipment back in the boxes. So, oh yeah! Thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye!